Hey guys, wanted to share with you, I'm going to finally get rid of this old 45-year-old sliding glass door out of our house. And this will actually be my first sliding glass door to replace. And so I figured I'd show my experiences. I haven't seen a whole lot of videos on how to replace the door with when you got brick exterior and slab like we do in the South. I'm in Texas. So it's pretty common to have a, slab, have tile on the floor, wood or whatever, but I've got tile on the floor, and I've got this brick veneer siding. So I want to show you how these sliding glass doors come. They all have these flanges around there, and I was wondering, okay, how I'm going to get that flange in between my brick and my framing. So I'll show you how I came across that. This one's 72 inches by 80 is the size of the door. So that's the rough opening size. I was getting confused on the orientation. Like it said, it's a left opening door. So what I found out was that's left from the outside of the house. It's not from the inside. So yeah, just run your utility knife down like so. Just cut that caulking. So, yep, and then I'll get the my pry bar in there, pop it out. Just make sure that I'm gonna get in here and cut all this too, just so it's easier to get to. So it'll come out. Yep. So next up, just get your pry bar in there. I'm using a pretty thin one. It doesn't really need a huge one. And then gently going in here. I'm trying not to dig on the sheetrock too much, so it looks like it's not going to damage it as it comes out. So I went ahead and wrote where it went, just in case there's a tiny difference between this side and that side. I just wanted to go ahead and make sure it went back in the exact same spot. So a couple different ways you can do it. In case you've never done it, you can roll it this way. All right. Or you can roll it this way. So I got my bigger pry bar for this trim here. So I cut the paint caulking right there. As you can see, it's resting on top. So this will have to come out first. But I'm just going to gently nudge it. So once again, I don't want to break it. So just kind of nudge it along, loosen it up a little. And actually I may swing it out from this way too. So up here, kind of run into this odd detail. So this fascia board right here is up under this, and this runs, this whole length here, but I'm just trying to get this guy out, and this looks pretty thick. It's either like 3 layers or it's made out of something else. But anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and I got this metal blade on my reciprocating saw here. And I'm just going to hit all these nails, on this side, and then see if I can pry this guy out. All right, well, here's my new door, and made some observations here. So this little tab here, distance from here to here is 1.25 inches, like it is on the other door. Okay, so this is where it hits the framing. Now I'm probably going to take these side tabs off and leave this top one, because I have brick siding. There's no way to really attach anything when I got studs, and then I got brick right here. So it's, yeah. So I'll probably end up cutting this guy off and then screwing through this side using shims to make sure it's all level, plumb. So then I made a note. Okay, so this is just a lot thicker. 45 years ago, we only had the single pane windows, and so I've got these double pane. And so it makes for a thicker threshold and the entire door frame. So it was right at 4, it's about 4 5/8 there, but it was right at 4.5. All right, so looking at the existing door, it's still 1.5 to this tab deep, right? So that means that this is going to be, this outer wall outer edge is going to be the one that stays the same. So you can see I'm going to have to cut back some tile in order to have the new threshold that's thicker fit up. Then later on, my other boards I'm going to have to trim off the same amount. So yeah, I'll make a mark on the floor and then draw me a line, and I'll get my grinder, vacuum with a diamond wheel, and then I'll cut that bit of tile off and chip it out. Yeah, I wanted to detail the technique that I'm doing. So what I did, this is a 4-inch diamond continuous rim blade. Makes for a smoother cut. And so got my cut started. So I'm keeping it in the groove, and then that keeps it straight. And I still follow my line. That keeps it straight when it's tracking. So I'll keep just staying on this side, that side of this line, and then the rest of this keeps guiding it, and then I'll go and I'll get a little bit more off the top here, and then I'll go and I'll dig out what's behind it, so the line stays straight, but you don't just try to go and like keep going like that. You know, if you just go back and forth and then just keep chipping away at that little hill right there as it comes up, and then clear it out behind it, then it'll track a lot straighter and go smoother for you. And also, I'm wearing these sealed goggles and of course ear protection. So that's going to be important if you're going to work with a grinder like this. You may look a little funny, but you'll be able to see and hear after all this is done. All right, so started seeing how well this is going to come up, and it's coming up pretty good. So what I basically did to get this one started was I kind of popped it at the grout joint like this, and that loosened that one. I was able to get in on that one over there, and then come in, and I got enough to get an edge up under the next few tiles. And I got my, this is an old wood chisel that's so dull, and then now it's a tile chisel. So it's still hard and sharp enough to get in there, but it's perfect for doing a little area like this, getting it flattened out again. And so I'm using this side of the chisel. So the straight side is on top, and I'm using the chisel to go up like this. I don't know if you can see. You can get up under the tile, pop it. And then coming back and then hitting the thin set. Anything that's left, flattening it out. If you notice, I'm wearing gloves. This is sharp stuff, and once again, I'm wearing the goggles because this stuff it's really sharp, and any stray piece can get in your eye and be a bad day. This is kind of thing where I can't use those tabs that are on the sides here. They're going to get in the way, right? So I'm going to cut those off, but I'm going to leave the ones at the top because I do have a place to fasten it. And then at the bottom, it goes straight onto the slab. So I don't need them there. I can't have them there, in fact. So cutting those tabs off using my Sawzall, and I got this, it's really a metal blade, but it's really fine teeth on there. And just kind of using the edge of this as a guide, getting it started, right? And then just following. using this edge, just following this blade carefully. And if anything's left over, I'll just file it or sand it or plane it off or something. Oh yeah, I got this cut off with the Sawzall, but on this bottom one, you know, I couldn't get it perfect right there. So, and it's good right here, but like little spots like that, then in the middle, and right here, you know, so it's that stuff that's going to cause warping, and the track may not go and glide smoothly if it's sitting funky on there, right? So I'm just going to hit it with a belt sander, right? And kind of hard to do with one hand, but you get it. So yeah, good stuff. It's a little better. Just keep it in until there's that the rigid in there. All right, to get the old doors out, I'm gonna need to get in here and loosen this screw. All right, so there's a little Phillips screw that was on this one from 35 years ago. Sometimes they're over here or whatever, but you'll just usually find it and just counterclockwise, and you can see it's starting to lower. So it's got this little adjustment where the pivots, the little wheel pivots up and down. So the reason you want to do that is so that it lowers the entire door. Then you can pick up the door up and out. So I'll get it as low as I can without stripping it out. This will be the last time I'll have to mess with this. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it's going to seal so much better, get better energy with the double pane windows too. So I'm looking forward to better sealing and hopefully UV transmission and all that stuff. Better insulation. So anyway, there's one on this side, and there's one on the opposite side of the door also. So I'll do the same thing on this side. Find it, and okay, so you see I just lifted it up higher into the track. There's enough room there, and then bring it down. So in fact, that's how I moved this by myself. I took the other panel out, and because I'm just working one man. Yeah, so just as I thought, I popped this this little guy out, and then so there's a little bracket here that's holding this door stationary. So pop that guy out, and then I don't know. I just may take these two screws out and then see if it just takes this whole thing out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and with the Sawzall, with the metal blade and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and chop it off right here, and then do the same down at the bottom so that I can take this part out and then attack this other side. So I got a bigger pry bar, got a little bite here, and then I was able to just sheave off, where the nail holes were. They were just right on the outside. And then it looks like I'm gonna have to bust out some of this mortar that was kind of filling in right here. But yeah, so I just pried it off. Well, I found that working this pry bar down and around like this made these loosen up. So when these loosened up and came away, and I was able to get the pry bar and then go step by step to get a bite on the next nails. So kind of coming back from the flange there. So then it helped me get getting along. And so that top will come out easy. So yeah, anyway, got it out. Nothing broke, and just used leverage from the pry bar to bust it away this way, and then the nailing strips. It just came right off the little nails. It just broke right off. So that's how you'll get those off without having to get in there and grab the nails or screws or whatever's holding them in. So yep, it's good as gone. Well, it took a few minutes and hit all this with the putty knife and clean up all the stuff that wouldn't make it flat, right? And then got this mortar and stuff and got it to where it'll be aligned and straight up. So looks like I can bring this sucker over and see how it fits. Alright, that was just to make sure it's gonna fit, right? So I just popped a screw right there just for now. But on the bottom sill, I need to put in some construction adhesive or some silicone caulking. Over here, you know, you can see there's a pretty good gap here. And I need to make sure everything's flat, like plumb, flat, square. So I need to measure my diagonals and make sure that they're square, and then yeah, then I can install that door back on there. But yeah, so I'll be checking for plumb square, and then I'll be putting in screws, some on the top and then on the sides. And then after that, I'll need to get some expanding foam. But then over here, I'll be using a sealant or a caulking of some sort to fill this gap. But this will be, you know, when it's done, the screws will get it tighter in. Alright, I put in a couple of kind of sloppy beads in here, but it's fine. But it's fine. The here in the corner, I just wanted to make sure it's gooped up pretty good, so that kind of seals that in, doesn't get the framing wet. All right, in order to true this guy up, I used my 6-foot level and checked, made sure it was flat all the way down, right? Because this wants to bow. And then so, you know, looking good. And then so I got these two shims in there. So once I got that shimmed up, I went outside and then put in a couple of screws here to hold it in place. So I'm going to work this way, but the next screws I'm going to do, I'm going to put in the shims. There's a shim behind each screw that's going to go in, and then so decided I'm going to go ahead and use some of my stainless. So I've got some of these finish washers left over from another project, and some nice 2-inch stainless pan-aid screws. So it'll look nice. They'll be exposed, but they'll be nice. I wanted to show you what I'm doing with the shims and the screws. So decided to start about 3.5 inches down off the top, and the same on the bottom. Divided by 4 for the next 3 screws, right? So then I got 17.5 for my spacing. So I want to keep it, you know, consistent looking. So also showing my shims here. These are done where the shim is opposite each other so that they're flat, and then you just squeeze them in like this to make them thicker, pull them out to make them thinner, because there's a pretty big gap right there. So instead of, and I'm doing that so that it's a flat shim all the way across, if you did it like this with 2 shims like that, or even 1 shim like that, it makes it to where this will kick out, right? Or it won't have full contact. So here, this way, it'll have full contact. So I've got it stuck in right behind that screw, got the screw started. But yeah, these will look presentable. I mean, those are stainless trim screws, so it's something you might see on an old classic boat or a classic car or whatever. And so those are just sitting there behind there, and I'll just drive that screw in, and then it'll lock it in. Later on, I'll hit it with a sharper chisel, pop those guys off. All right, I got all my shims in. I got everything straightened up, screws installed. It's all evened out. Made sure there was one in here because that makes it a lot more secure to have one screw right there at your latch. And so yeah, and I had to use some tape here, so because this was bowed out, and then so I was able to straighten it up, right? But had to push it in. So all right, I got the door in the room, about ready to pop in, but just wanted to show that these are those screws that needed to be loosened to loosen the wheels down there. I'm going to go and guide it up into this track first, then drop it down into there, and then after that I'll tighten up those screws so that it raises up and then it rides on the rollers that are underneath. So there's a screw on this side, and there's a screw on the other side of the door too. You don't want that. All right, it's time to address these gaps here, and you can see right down in the middle, you can see how wide it is. And now that those tabs are going, it's going to be even more important that you use this foam to keep the drafts out. And so this is the low pressure It won't bow or warp. So actually creates a little bit of layer insulation. Also, so just any low pressure or slow stuff will work. I taped it from the outside. You can see the blue there, so it just wouldn't make a mess. So anyway, I'm just gonna get it on in there. There we go. So you get the idea. Okay, that was the first time I used that product. So it keeps on expanding, right? Now it's tack-free. It's been about 20 or 30 minutes. So yeah, this one's still a little wet up there, and it's very, very sticky. So you don't want to get it on your hands. It does say use gloves. So don't use solvents to thin it out. It's just kind of crazy. I'm gonna wait until this is cured up. It's just about where I want it to be, but then I'm gonna just cut it either with a utility knife. I might just hit it with a see how well it works to just cut it off with a putty knife. But yeah, it says to fill it 1/3 full. I didn't read that part. It's really small print. So anyway, I thought it wasn't going to have enough to do this top, and that whole can was completely empty. Emptied out that can completely. So, and the straw started clogging up, so I had to pull the straw off also. But anyway, most of the, yeah, you can see it. Most of the tape kept it back from the front here, and of course nothing there. But yeah, so the same thing. I'll just go in and probably cut that with a utility knife. All right, for this joint, I'm gonna go ahead and use this stuff called Morflex, and mortar and stucco repair. Stretches like rubber, textured like mortar. So, and it's gray, right? So that's kind of my thoughts here. Is it'll be like a color match sanded caulking designed for being outside, and I can kind of point up this other stuff. It's gonna be a little goofy to work with. Oh, there we go. It's gonna be kind of like that grout caulk, I imagine. So I'll go back in and smooth it with my finger. I've got a couple of tubes. So then, yeah, you just go with your finger, smooth it out, kind of thing. So I'll grab a towel real quick, clean this other stuff off, get this cleaned off here. So anyway, I might dab some of this extra stuff in there, I don't know, but I'll get it done. But that'll blend in a lot nicer. It'll be a lot crisper edge when you have the white against the gray, rather than if you put white here, it's going to look really, really crappy next to the stucco, or next to the brick. So that way when you step back, it just won't be quite as noticeable. I'm going to go ahead and call this done. So this side went ahead and followed that one little line as my straight line, because it's got that double line right there. So I went ahead and used this as my straight line to come up against. So the caulking was kind of embedded in there, right? So that's what I'll do on this side also. Just for planning purposes, that took a whole tube. There was just a little bit left, and then so I bought the right amount. And I kept just a little bit of water, kind of kept my hands moist as I was going and dressing the joints with my finger, right? And I kept some paper towels around, and you know, wiping as I go. So you'll figure it out. You don't want to keep messing with it. It'll start, you know, with all these grout caulks, it'll start to get where you can't work with it anymore. But I think that'll work so far. So my existing trim is smaller because the door is wider, right? Or it needs to be smaller. So I need to cut it down. You know, this looks like it's about 2 1/4 right there. So yeah, anyway, got it measured 2 1/4 right there. So I'll just take the existing piece and then cut it on the table saw. All right, so this is my first cut down piece, and I don't want to drag my compressor out and the hoses and the nail gun and all this stuff. I'm just going to grab got some bright finish nails, right? And then not a waffle head, a smooth hammer, right? And then this is a nail set. So this nail set is what you'll use to go and drive these in after they're flush, right? You want to drive it in, and then so that's what goes on this head right there. And you drive it in, pop it in, and then you can caulk that little thing. So I'm going to get them started on the actual board itself. So I got my little pre-nailed piece up there ready to go. So it's already been cut from before, so I'm going to get it to where about where I want it. Alright, nails are already ready to go. And then after that, you use your nail set. Get that nail and recess it so that you can put some caulking or some other filler in there later. Alright, wanted to show you, so my existing trim, it's already painted, good to go, but just need to make sure we take this caulking off that was already there. And I kind of like to use this curved edge of this, you know, little paint scraper, and it tends to get the flat edge or the curved edge. There's really not much caulking on there, but okay, there we go. So, getting a pretty good bite on it right there, and then this curved edge you can kind of pare down and get the corner off of this. Make sure it's off of there, so you can use both edges, right? Flat edge and then the curved, run along there, like so. So they got this white wood filler out, and I like to use it at the nail holes like that. And of course, you know, you just get it on there and get it inside of there. Once again, it's kind of hard to do one-handed. And then hit it with your putty knife, right? So I'm going to use some caulking here because there's a lot more flexibility. That's what caulking's for. And then I'm going to fill this dude. I had a you know, nail popped out, and it's like, man, I'm not going to get my cat's paw and just mess this whole thing up. So I'm going to use this filler here. I ground that down a little bit too. So yeah, it'll hide it. And yeah, so on the home stretch. All right, it's time to hide any of our sins with caulking. So, you know, just run the bead, and hopefully you know how to do caulking. But if not, let me twist this a little bit here. All right, this one-handed stuff kind of for the bird. So yeah, you know, run your bead. And you know, smooth it with your finger. That's kind of a big one. So after this, I'm going to hit it with the sponge. I got a sponge ready to go here. Normally grout sponge would be better like you did for tile work. It has the rounded corners. This is just all I had. It had the square edges. It's a drywall sponge. But you know, then I'll just hit it with the sponge. So then next up, here I'm going to use a sanded caulking that matches the grout, right? So that you have a crisp white line on the vinyl, and then the grout, you know, it just blends in with the tile. Next up is this sanded ceramic tile caulk, and custom makes it. Every grout manufacturer makes it. So available at all the box stores too, and other tile suppliers. So yeah, and you know, just this stuff is actually going to dry darker. It's a little light as it comes out, but it'll dry darker. So once again, kind of hard to do this one-handed, but I'll go in here and smooth this out just like I did with the white caulking. So I went ahead and reassembled this guy and nailed it all back together with some finish nails, and kind of got it into place and got my clamp here. So I'm trying to give myself a pretty good even reveal as best as I can. So, and then to keep it in place, you know, then I'll just hit it with the finish nails, and hopefully it won't hammer twist on me, but should be good after this. And then I'll use that same sanded caulk that I had for the grout. It's that same tone, so I'm going to go ahead and dress that up with that. Well, as I was installing these, I decided to go ahead and use some of these Deckmate screws. They're tan in color for my particular application, and it helped to pull in this other piece instead of trying to hammer, and then to have this bow back, you know, on me when it was getting hammered. So, yep, and I tried to hide it up under the wires and stuff, but yep. Now I'm just going to hit it with that caulking, and I should be good to go. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it done. Like the details that came out, the mortar over here on the sides took forever to dry. Okay, just so you know, that stuff that I used, it's still kind of soft. All in all, it was a huge improvement over what was there, and so it should last quite a while. And I'm hoping my utility bills will go on the downward trend. So anyway, yeah, for more of these kind of DIY videos, just like and subscribe. You know the drill. Thanks so much.